So welcome back, students. So in today's video, we are going to see that how we can declare a class. What is a class? We have already discussed about that, but in today's video, first we will go through the basic concept related to the class. What is a class? And then we will see that how we can write a class and what operations can be performed on it. Okay, so let me tell you about the class that how we can define a class. So this is the simplest definition for a class that you can ever imagine of. Like a class is is a template for objects. It tells how the object will look like, what will be its properties, and what actions can be performed on this. Okay, then I have given here an example. I will share this particular document with you. Okay, so here I have given an example of vehicle. So when we talk about a vehicle, then vehicles have engine, tire, all these things are there with the vehicles. Okay, these things are the properties of the vehicles. Vehicles, like there is a engine. So what is the number of engine? What kind of engine it is? Two-stroke engine, three-stroke engine, whatever. Okay, then what kind of tires it has? Tubeless or tube tires, whatever. Okay, so these are the properties of the vehicle. Okay, carburetor is there. So these are basically the components, the properties of this particular vehicle. What is the color of the vehicle? Okay, how many gears are there in the vehicle? Okay, there are six gears sometimes. There are only five gears sometimes. So based on that, all these things are known as the property of the vehicle. Okay, if it has a music system in it already installed or not. Okay, if it is a CNG fitted vehicle, or if it is a diesel vehicle, or if it is a petrol vehicle. So all these are the properties of the vehicles. So when we talk about an object, then we talk about its properties. So when you are creating an object, when you are talking about an object, then there is a certain template which this particular vehicle is following. Okay, so when we talk about the object, then it means that we are talking about a specific template. Like if we talk about the you know um, Hyundai i10, or you can say Volkswagen. Okay, if you're talking about the Volkswagen, there is a specific model of Volkswagen, and if you discuss about the specific model, like this model has these many things. Okay, so whenever you will create a particular vehicle, a particular car from that model, then that particular model will be having the same thing that all other cars would have. So these things are known as the objects. But basic template, like this is how the car will look like, this is what the car will contain, this will be the properties of this particular vehicle. All that is defined. Whenever it is defined, that is not real object, but that's a template for an object. It's similar to a form. When you go for a university examination, you fill some form. In that form, you fill your name, your father's name, your date of birth, your place of birth, your domicile, everything you put in there in the form. Okay, so all those things are your information. But when you see the form, when you fill in the form, then that form becomes an object which is representing you. Okay, but until you fill that form, all those things like name, father's name, all these are just the properties, and this just define the template. When the form is not filled, it just contain that yes, you need to provide this information. Some information may be optional, some information may be mandatory. So this kind of form, when it has not been filled, then it is known as a template, and you can compare that template with the class. Okay, so if when you write a class, then you give the properties, right? Like these are the properties. Apart from the properties, what else your class contains? Okay, let us see what else your class contains. First of all, before we move ahead, let me tell you one thing, that anything you study in your career, like whether you discuss about the object-oriented programming, C, C++, or any language, or any subject for that matter, whether it's be physics, chemistry, mathematics, please remember one thing, that they are not just created out of anywhere. Like they are not have been created because of someone wanted to someone wanted that some kind of things I want to create, and this thing will look like this. No, every subject, every concept has come into existence because there was a need. You must remember one line, that inventions are done based on the needs. Okay, needs are the mother for the inventions. Okay, so without the need, no invention is there, nothing is there. So everything that you study that can be related to the real world. Always try to correlate everything with the real world. So that is why I am trying to correlate the classes properties and its methods with the real world. So till now we have discussed about the properties of the class. Now we will see what is the meaning of the methods, why we create the methods. Suppose you are having a car, right? When you have a car, in the car there is a gear, there is a gearbox, you have the handle of that gear. Only the handle of the gear has been exposed to you. Okay, you make a gear shift, then internally what happens you don't know. So internally whatever happens, that is the functionality of the gearbox to change the gear. Okay, changing the gear is the functionality of the gearbox. How to change the gear, what internally happens you don't know. Okay, so something is also hidden from you, some information is also hidden from you. Okay, so when you hide some information in the class, when you decide to hide the information in the class, then you need to connect it with the real world, like how it this information need to be hidden. Okay, if you have to hide, then you need to make it a private variable. We will discuss about the private, protected, and public variables and public methods. But what is the significance of those private, public, and protected things, that we are going to discuss here. So the gearbox, the gear handle using which you change the gear, that is public. That is publicly open for you. Anything that has been exposed to you directly to use, that is public. And what happens behind the scene, if that is hidden from you, that is known as the private thing. Okay. So if there are number of clutch plates, then those clutch plates are the private thing. But this gear is the public, which you can use. So based on these things, the creator of the C++ language decided that when I will create the class, when I will provide the feature of the class to the clients, then they should be able to implement their real life, they should be able to do the real life implementation of the concepts of the systems in this way, and they should get the help from the private, public, and all these concepts, right? So that is why they added the private and public variables, functions, all these concepts into the class. That we will see that how those were implemented and how we can implement it, how we can create a class with public and private methods, or public and private uh, properties. Okay, so that we will see right now. Okay, so I hope you might have understood like what is the significance of the properties and the methods. Methods are nothing but whatever we do by performing some action, whatever happens behind the scene, that thing is the logic of functionality. So that thing which happens behind the scene is the functionality. Okay, and those functionalities are represented through the function. When you change the gear, then we say that when I will do like this, then it will, when I will change the gear, then the gear will be changed, the clutch plate will change it, shift, make shift, so that I will use the different gear, right? So that is the thing which is hidden from you, but that is the thing which happens behind the scene. Okay, you cannot touch the existing logic inside the function, but yes, when you will call that function, that will work. Okay, so for the gear, you can understand that yes, when you change the gear, it's a public method. There is a need of a public method using which that particular gear shift can be done. Okay, so now let us see, all this information is available in here. You can open this document that will be available in the document section, and you can download it. So no worries about it. Now let us move to the our very favorite editor, which is Visual Studio 2019, and right now it's like 2022 as well is available. So whatever you want to use, you are free to free to choose whatever you want to do. Since we are understanding about the basic concepts related to the C++, so no worries. 2019, 2015, even 2010 is also fine, but that support is not anymore available for 2010. So I will suggest you to whatever latest available in the market, just like 2022 is available right now in the market, so you can use that one, Visual Studio 2022, that thing you can use. Okay, so we are going to define a class. Since we have taken the example of a car, a vehicle, so let us create a class called vehicle. Okay, so when we are creating a class vehicle, then we have inside the vehicle, like we can have like car s engine type, okay, and I can give it a character string of 32. Okay, then we have char, you know, you can say like int n gears. Okay, how many gears are there? So for that, I'm giving it like int gears, n gears, and then we have like int n existing, or you can say, it can be bool b music system, whether the music system is available already in this one. Then we have like apart from that, we can have the color of the car, so we can give a different color. So it can have int n color code. Okay, so this thing, and I can give, it can be red, it can be maroon, anything that can be the color of the car. So we have decided all these things. These are known as the properties of the class. Okay, so whatever object we will create, for that object, this class is a template, and we are defining that template in such a way that it represents all the properties of that particular vehicle or particular object. So all these are the properties of the object that will be created from this template, which is the vehicle class. Okay, so everything like all these four variables that we have declared here, these are known as the properties, and by default, all the properties of a class are private. Private means outside this class, outside this class, you cannot access these properties. Suppose you might have studied about the structures in C++. Okay, sorry, in C. In C and in C++, structures are there. In case of structures, all the variables are public, but in case of classes, all the variables that you have declared by default, they are private. Private means you cannot directly access outside the class. So let us see what does that mean. It means that suppose if I create a vehicle V, and if I try to access like v dot n gears is equal to 6 gears are there. If suppose I want to do like this, okay, so what will happen, like vehicle V and n gears is equal to 6. If I compile it, just do the right click on it and try to compile it. If you compile it, then you will be able to find that there is a compilation error which says that cannot access private member declared in vehicle. Okay, so by default, anything inside the class which has been declared, whether it's function or whether it's variable, okay, they are all private, unlike the structures. In case of structures, they are all public. Okay, but in case of classes, they are all private. Okay, so how you write the private? If you don't write it is private, but if you want to declare something is private, then you can write something like this. So these are all private by default. Okay, so in a class by default everything is private. We want to write some public things as well for this class, and those are the functionalities. Okay, so int suppose void change the gear. Okay, so this is the public method, change the gear. So if this is a public method, then in that case what you can do, you can call this. You cannot set these things like engine type, gears, and all those things. But how you will access these, how you will set these properties, that we will discuss in the coming videos, when we will discuss about the constructors, when we will discuss about the properties, how to set the properties, get and set. All those things we will discuss in the coming videos. But in this video, I'm just going to tell you what is the basic information, what is the basic thing related to the classes, which is the properties and the functions. All those things I'm going to tell you. So public means you can access this particular thing. Just like I given you the example of gear, that you want to change the gear. So the gear handle should be available to you. So you are in here in the main function. Okay. So what will happen if you do like v dot change gear, then you will be able to access it, and you will be able to see that you can compile it. There will be no error, because you are accessing a public method. Okay, so anything that is public, that can be accessed outside the class as well, but anything that has been declared as private, that can only be accessed inside the class. So what does that mean? That means that we have these four variables and I want to access this variable from main. Then you have seen that you were not able to access them. But what will happen if you have this public member function which is inside this vehicle class? So if you are inside this vehicle class, then what you can do, if you have written any function inside this vehicle class, suppose change the gear, then if you want to change the gear and gear is equal to fourth gear, then you can do this. And gears is equal to 4. Okay. So if you compile this, you will be able to see that yes, you are able to compile it. There is no error. Okay. So no matter if you create a private method, you can create a private method as well. Void change the gear. Change the gear, and here you have written like int n gear number. Okay. So this is a overloaded function. Change the gear, one function is private, one function is public, and even the private and public doesn't make any difference. It should be following the same rule as we discussed previously for the function overloading, which is the number of the arguments and the type of the arguments. Only that decides whether the function will is overloaded or not. So here you have given like int and gear number. So if you want to change the gear, and then if you access like int and gears is equal to 4. Okay, so in this case as well, you are inside the private member function of this vehicle class, then also it will work fine. Then also it will be able to access it. So any private variable you can only access inside the, inside your class only, not outside the class. So this is the significance of the private and public. I hope you might have understood about the private and public. There is one more access modifier which is known as the protected. We will discuss about that when we will discuss about the inheritance, but as of now we have started just the basic concepts related to the classes. So just try to understand them and just try to grasp all these things so that you are able to understand like how the classes are written, how we create them, how we decide that what are those functions which I should make public, which I should make private. Okay, so in the next video, we will see about the constructors and the destructors of the class. What are the constructors? What are the destructors of the class? And what is their significance? How we access them? Okay, and how we can create a class for a student, and how we can create a constructor for the student. All those things we are going to see, and all the other concepts like the overloading of the functions and overloading of the operators, all those things first of all we will discuss with respect to the classes, and then we will move ahead with the concepts of class inheritance. So at least two more classes will be needed, at least two more lectures, rather I should say that at least two more lectures will be needed to understand how to write the class properly, how to write the constructors, how to write the copy constructor. What are they? We are just going to understand in the coming videos. What is the meaning of copy constructor? What is the meaning of constructor? What is destructor? What is assignment operator? What is all the other things like copy constructor? All those we are just going to discuss in the coming videos. Okay, so in this video, for this video, this is enough, I think. So you can try to write your own classes. You can decide like if you write a class for a student, then what all properties you can think of for a student to have, and what are the functions that you can expose for the student. What are the functions you may not be you may not want to expose for the student. So all those things you can write in the form of the functions. All those things you can do. Okay, so that is for your practice, and in the next video we will meet, and in the next lecture we will understand about the constructors, about the destructors, and the related concepts like copy constructors and assignment operators. So till then, have a nice day and bye bye.